The Coin Lady channel is pleased to have you back. Hey everyone, the SEC took a surprising hit today. It's hard to put my finger on exactly what happened, but I don't believe anyone anticipated it happening here. Nevertheless, per Bitcoin Magazine's headlines, the Senate has passed a bill to repeal the SEC rule regarding Bitcoin and crypto custody, and Biden has said that he will threaten to veto the bill. If Biden weren't so opposed to cryptocurrency and actively working to undermine our chances to amass fortunes that could change our lives, I think I would be more optimistic. How likely is it that this passes despite Biden's threats to veto it? That is going to be on the agenda. In addition, I have heard from a number of people, including lawyers James Murphy and John Deaton. Throughout the process, I will be sure to share my opinions with you, including something that I shared earlier today. Also, I wanted to give you a heads up that I used a number of swear words and have opted not to censor myself. If there are children present, please either turn off the computer when we reach that section or watch the movie at a later time. If you're a terrible parent, it doesn't matter to you. No, I am not passing judgment on you. Wow, you're terrible. I want to make it crystal obvious right off the bat that I come from absolutely no financial background. Do not take my financial advice as gospel. Furthermore, you ought not to make any financial transactions based on my recommendations, will we? As a hobby and for fun, I enjoy making films on YouTube regarding crypto-related subjects. I'm just an enthusiast. Regarding what I put down on paper, it's actually rather decent. There are a few cuss words, but it's NBD, you know. To add a touch of heat to a tweet, I just sprinkled some crushed red pepper on top. That concludes our discussion. It was as fast as sending a quick table to this location. House votes to invalidate SEC's anti-crypto banking guidance, SAP 121, made. Headlines on May 8th. In other words, it's basically this: the SEC is going above and beyond what they could do with these methods. In the past, there would have been a comment period and other formalities involved when implementing policies with this much sway. However, the SEC decided this would be a better method to force through unnecessary red tape, so they released an accounting bulletin for IT staff, which is supposed to be for modest policy implementations, rather than something more substantial. Furthermore, numerous members of the House had already asserted that Gary Gensler's actions were unlawful activity. Thus, the House did, in fact, vote to render this null and void. On the screen, you can see the results of the voting. It is clear that 207 Republicans voted to repeal Anti-Crypto Act 121, with only 21 Republicans voting in its favor. Deletion was the Democratic Party's goal. Keeping the insults and slurs in place was important to the other 182 Democratic votes. For the simple reason that this is extremely political. However, it should be acknowledged that there were certain instances where Democrats did not adhere to party lines in the House and Senate. The fact that this passed at all is, in fact, rather astounding. Given the usual deadlock in both houses of Congress, especially the Senate. I am astounded. Take a look at this. The article appears in Bitcoin Magazine and is presented here. The Senate just approved H.J. Res. 109, a bill that would nullify SEC Staff Accounting Bulletin SAP number 121 and ban heavily regulated banks from holding Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. The bill was approved by a vote of 60 to 38, showing that it had the backing of both parties. It's alright, it's fine. True, there were some Democrats who did cross-party work, but that doesn't make it any less bipartisan. It should be noted, though, that only a small number of Democrats really did this. At least 12, probably more. In both the House and the Senate, the majority of Democrats do intend to maintain this. I want to make it crystal apparent that this is a problem that has to be brought to people's attention, even though it may be characterized as bipartisan if you so like. Politicians have turned crypto into a partisan issue, even though it shouldn't be. Yes, it's true that most powerful Republicans are crypto advocates and vote that way. That is not the case among Democrats. In fact, most Democrats in both houses of Congress are opposed to cryptocurrency, which is what motivates her to maintain her stance. When casting your ballot, keep that in mind. So, gopher, I'm not going to tell you how to vote if you're supporting that. That is something I will not do. Voting for some of these people will definitely hurt your financial security in the crypto market, and I wanted you to know that. Okay, I get it if you're preoccupied with other matters of critical importance. Peace be with you, and do what makes you happy in terms of staying informed and knowledgeable. The goal of the resolution, which was approved by the House last week, is to undermine SAP 121. To enable highly regulated financial firms to offer custody services for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, HJ Res 109 aims to remove the restrictions imposed by this bulletin, which effectively bars financial institutions from acting as custodians for digital assets like Bitcoin under the Congressional Review Act. That, in a word, is the meat and potatoes of it. You should be aware of that. View this via the prism of the Executive Office of the President's Comprehensive Policy Statement. This is too long for me to read here. However, I will read the first section. It seems that the government is adamantly against passing HJ Res 109, which would hinder the SEC's efforts to safeguard investors, the marketplaces for crypto assets, and the protection of the financial system as a whole. Use that term. Does this really prevent banks from making it nearly impossible for them to hold your cryptocurrency? If so, how do you feel about it? Are you more at ease now? Not at all. This is repulsive and horrible. As you can see from the bottom of this page, the President has already indicated that he intends to reject HJ Res 109. So this is how things operate in the US, and I'm well aware that this isn't the case for everyone. However, before reaching the President's desk for signature or veto, every law must first pass the House. If it passes the Senate, it moves on to the next step. What if this, the May 8th threat, is vetoed by President Biden? Certainly, he could put his signature on it. I am pessimistic. He has the power to do so, but what would happen if he uses his veto? Here, I will examine it. If the measure is vetoed by the President and returned to Congress with an explanation of his or her decision, the chamber that introduced the original bill has the opportunity to try to overturn the veto with a 2/3 vote of the total members present. The bill becomes law if and only if both houses of Congress override the veto. Apparently Biden is going to veto the whole thing. I would be delighted, though not overly thrilled, if I were proven wrong on this matter. A threat was previously made by him. In my opinion, he will really carry out this plan. If that occurs, would it mean we'll receive 60 votes, as in the Senate, or 2/3 of the vote? It was a relief to see that 60 senators passed the bill. Very well. More Democrats won't be on board, in my opinion. In my opinion, it is quite unlikely to take place. Those 2/3 won't make sense to you, in my opinion. I hope I'm mistaken, but I feel like he'll veto this, with relative ease. At the end of the day, this all goes back to square one. Indeed, that is disappointing. Still, doesn't Gensler's dissatisfaction with the House and Senate seem obvious? Falls within section. What a remarkable phenomenon. Incredible as it may seem, these lawmakers clearly recognize the utterly baseless and irrational attack that she launches against the SE and crypto. Furthermore, it is outside the authority that Congress has granted to the SEC. The video concludes with that. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel and give me a like. Muchas gracias, depart.